Good evening, everyone. This is day one of my daily 10-minute live challenge. Thank you, Shantae, for the challenge. So let's begin. So my 10-minute chat is about client interactions. One, communication is key. Remember that you must communicate with your clients. Um, that is something that I've worked on in my business. Sometimes I communicated too much, sometimes I communicated too little. Sometimes you have to find the sweet spot. So ask your customers or your clients exactly how they want to be communicated with and how often they want updates and other information. Also, make sure it's in a format that's easy to understand and easy to read. A lot of times you can send an email and it goes on and on and on and on. Find a great format in a document or a Google Doc that you can actually put in form fills and it'll output into a form that's easy for your clients to read and understand. Number two, managing expectations. Everyone goes into a client relationship with expectations. And if you're not asking what their expectations are and you're not conveying what your expectations are, the lines could get crossed and things could be frustrating and nothing will feel like it's moving along. So manage expectations by always asking for feedback, always ask questions if you don't have clarity on what they would like. Also, be sure to take detailed notes, and if you have to, record the conversations. That way you can go back and re-listen and understand where that person was coming, where your client is coming from and what they're looking for. um, but do always be realistic in your expectations. There's no such thing as a perfect client. There's no such thing as a perfect service provider. So be mindful of that. Everything is not going to go 100% at all times, but as long as you manage those expectations, you can succeed. Number three, ask for feedback on how you're doing. A lot of times we're afraid of the constructive criticism, and I have faltered in my business. A lot, and it's due to life and other things, other factors. But all you can do is do better and reassure your clients that you're working just as hard as they are to provide the services that you've agreed to and that you've outlined in your SOW. Sometimes client trust is hard to gain when you're providing an intangible service. Um, because if people are paying their hard-earned money, they want to see results, and sometimes results are not overnight, and so you have to provide that feedback and let them know that this is how it works, or what you're doing, so that they're reassured and that you are performing in what you need to do. A lot of times we sometimes forget that that person can't see what's inside your head, or they can't understand exactly what you're doing. So you have to break it down and speak to them in terms that are not industry related and actually get down to the brass tacks of things and break it down for them. So back to communication, verbal. Even if you send a voice message or a video to them, letting them know what's going on, it reassures them. Communication is the only lifeline you really do have with your clients and how it works. So you have to be mindful of that, and you have to understand that this is how you keep a project going. Managing Number two, the managing your expectations. Sometimes you as a service provider have the expectations that you put on yourself that your client may or may not put on you. So manage those and be realistic in what you can offer and what you can't offer. Life happens. I dealt with something that was major, and it took like 2 weeks out of my time. So the processes and things that I put in place kind of fell to the wayside. So I had to apologize. I had to let them know exactly what was going on. I may or may not have lost clients. I have to deal with that and understand. But I still always give 110% of what of myself, no matter what. If they're paying or not, I still do the work. I know that's not always the industry standard, but my integrity means more than a dollar. And I would rather give the best service that I can and provide my clients with the things that they're coming to me for, and understand that I can do what I can do to change their lives. Number three, the feedback. create a quick survey or send a 3-question email to your client asking them, hey, how can I improve? What can I do to make things better? And what more do you want, you're expecting of me? If it changes your SOW, then go in, renegotiate, and talk about it. Sometimes it's best to do um, a call and go over just about the feedback on how you're progressing, what you're actually doing. So you should always be prepared. It may not be what you want to hear, but it's something that you need to hear for your business, for you to get better. These are all of my lives, I think, this week are going to be about things that I'm dealing with within my business and managing the different expectations from multiple clients. Um, a lot of times as a publicist, I'm unable to land a pitch due to media news stories or current news options. So a lot of times the my pitches get accepted and they don't they don't go on the air, or they're just not what they're looking for at the time, so you have to try again and keep going back for more. Sometimes you have to go outside of your comfort zone to get clients what they need, so that you can do that. um, yes, that's true, always getting better is important. For me, it's a hard thing because I stepped out on faith to focus on my business 100%, and in the meantime life happens. And so to mitigate that, I actually sat down and redid my processes and redid how I communicate. In the last couple of weeks, it's been one of those things I had to revisit because the process that I had was not working. And you have to go back and communicate with your clients, tell them their expectations, let them know that you're ready to meet their expectations, and then ask them what you could do to improve, because sometimes any of the changes that you make may not be right for them. So the give and take and the understanding has to be there. So business is always constantly evolving and growing. So you have to be able to be amenable to this growth, amenable to these changes, and understand that it's not a detriment to your business. It's a benefit to your business for you to always evolve and change for the better of your clients. Because if you become stagnant, the market is always changing. The world is always changing. The way that people convey information is always changing. So instead of being stagnant and looking at, though, this is how it's always done, go in, revamp, and find out how you can evolve and actually grow. You're right, Stephanie, you have to. So my points are, making sure you communicate. Even if you can't communicate. Even if you send out 65 emails and only 5 people said yes, even though you don't want to deliver rejection, which I don't personally, I don't like doing that, but communicate that. I've learned that some of my clients want to hear the rejection because they want to see the work. Like when you're working on math problems, some professors want to show your work. So you have to show your work. So yes, it's always human nature. Like it's kind of like I can pitch one client and they get picked up so quick, but then the climate changes and they want to see something different. So it's always revamping, repackaging, rewriting your pitches so that you can get in front of the right producer, because not every producer reads the same pitch the same way. So you have to understand who you're writing to and who you're talking to. Some clients, they don't want you to text them. Some clients will rather a phone call. You have to be able to evolve and adapt to each client that you're dealing with. So all of these things are tips and about client interactions that I've dealt with and that I'm working on as a business. And all I really can say is reassure your clients, communicate with your clients, manage your expectations to make sure they're realistic and not far-fetched, and also always ask for feedback on how you're doing and what you can do to improve your interactions with them. Because sometimes people forget that you're dealing with an individual, a person, so you have to manage that and understand that you can't do one with this client and do the same thing with this client, but you can always tailor your business so that you're giving everyone the same level of service, but understanding that each one of them is unique and different. That's about my 10-minute chat today. Tune in tomorrow. Well, I'll be talking about contracts, invoices, and different invoicing services that you can use. Thank you so much. I'll see you all tomorrow.